This is the map I was talking about earlier, and we can see down here that this gentleman had very high control and high past and low future. And that was really causing him to focus on controlling others, the past financials, recessions, all of these things, and demanding more of his people. And so when he got to see his map, we were actually able to talk about where that came from, why it serves him well to be like that, and helped him to unpack it to get to the core of where that came from so he could actually try out a new behavior. In fact, today, one of the behaviors that he's practicing is to talk more slowly, articulate better, and even just lower your tone a little bit so that you're not overpowering people all the time. So simple behaviors like that, which over time, as they're practiced, they become the new neural patterns which will show up as observed behavior. So when people look at him, and they already are looking at him and saying, wow, there's a big change, but there's still more to come. Okay. This is another case study with a business owner, and we did the before and after of the 12-week program that I talked about, the LeadershipBI program, and we've done it with a few people, so this is just one example, and you can see the changes that have occurred on the left here. It's pretty significant to get somebody to shift from being external, taking input from other people basically in order to make a decision. Probably not great for a business owner. To being more internal, confident about her own decisions, making those decisions with confidence without having to worry about the input. When we tie that with the right-hand map, which is consensus, it was very high consensus. It was driven from the need to have compliance with others, consensus with others, as opposed to knowing what needs to be done and really, being not dominant, but a leader and asserting her direction to keep the company moving in the right direction. So that was a pretty big shift for her. What was interesting is we also, she took a break. So the 12-week program ended. She thought, oh, that's great. I made all these changes. I think I'll stop for a while. And as we know, it takes time for things to really get bedded in as unconscious, automatic responses to triggers. When you're triggered, you respond, your brain acts in a fraction of a second. And so when we haven't practiced something enough times, the old pattern's still there. And we can often revert back to that without realizing, and that takes over again. So it still takes a lot of conscious effort to do that until there's enough repetition so that the new path is the strong one as opposed to the old one. And we talk a lot about that in the neurology part of the program and the training and the weekly webinars. So yeah, we'd love to have you on these calls because there's a lot of learning and a lot of sharing. Okay, so how does it work? It's a 4-step process. You start with getting, you get a client, give them the assessment. Then you will debrief parts of the map. Depending on the sophistication of the client, you may not go through all of it. It's based on what program you're doing with them, what are you trying to accomplish with them, and if there's been some 360 feedback, what's the feedback saying, so that you have a full picture without leaping to judgments and conclusions about what you should do and how you should do it. We want to remove all that judgment stuff. I know it's human nature to leap to conclusions, but let's just kind of suppress it a little bit. That's really the intention here. We give you a map, we give you the tools so that you can actually use data as opposed to intuition. You'll then develop the plan of what behaviors they're going to work on. And usually in a 12-week program, we'll do 1 to maximum 3 behaviors that a client will want to work on. Otherwise, you're just chasing too many shiny balls and it's not going to work, and it will definitely falter. So keep it simple, get results that are sustainable for your clients, and they'll want to continue and stay with you and do more, which is really what you want to do. Help them in small increments along the way so that they stay for a long time. I've mapped out down here, the first 4 weeks are really a discovery process, really getting to the root of who your client is, what the challenges are. You can't do that in just one session. It's going to take multiple sessions to really peel the layers of the onions and get to the core, even with the map. The map is really helping to guide and cause you to be curious and touch on areas that you normally wouldn't. But you still need to ask questions, take notes, listen, and push them outside their comfort zone, basically. Then the following 5 to 12 weeks are really where your coaching then brings all the tools that we provide, as well as your own, to bring the new behaviors into play. 13 to 26 weeks is maintaining those first ones, maybe introducing another one, and so forth, so that you're really working with a client to not only bring new behaviors into play, but also impact their confidence about those behaviors and build new pathways that are actually solid pathways that they can use for a long time to come.